Hey guys, it's American Trekkie, back with another video. If you watched the last USS Voyager video, you know that I made some slight modifications to the ship. Well, in this video, I'm not going to talk about the modifications. This video is going to be part of the new series called Outlook and Trivia. If you haven't seen the first video in this new series, click in the description below. But without further ado, I give you LEGO USS Voyager Outlook and Trivia. Now, Voyager was unique for its long journey through the Delta Quadrant. Correct. But while Voyager is unique, the Intrepid class itself is also unique. For in the fact that while it was an advanced Starfleet vessel, it wasn't very large. Quoting Tom Paris, "I remember the good old days when you couldn't keep a secret on a ship this small." Well, when you refer to Voyager as small, or the Intrepid class, it is small. Most officers are comparing it to the Galaxy class, or the Nebula class, or larger ships. And I can't say that I blame them. While the ship may be small, it doesn't lack advancements. If you just look through the lore on the Intrepid class and Voyager, you'll see that this ship was small, but not technologically challenged. And in fact, Voyager was the most advanced ship in the fleet until the introduction of the Sovereign class. Now, during this video, I am going to be talking about Star Trek Voyager and building stories of this ship. So, I begin. I started building this ship. It took me 7 weeks to build this ship. First was the idea. I took apart one Lego build and used the parts that I had from there to build the saucer section, this half, this forward part of the secondary hull, and nothing of this, and one nacelle pylon, this one. But it wasn't complete at all, because while I can't show you an image of what this looked like, it wasn't looking very good. Then I came up against some challenges. Voyager was not ready for it. I was not ready for Voyager. This build, I started to think, I'm not ready for this. I can't do it. I almost gave up and rebuilt something and built something else. But then I realized that you can't give up. And the problem was that in the first 2 or 4 weeks of planning and building, the problem was that this part of the saucer section wasn't the way I wanted it to be. In fact, I needed to make the ship wider so I could fit this. And I bet you're asking, well, I've built with Legos. How did you get these two pieces in the way that they are? That was difficult. What I did was, instead of lifting them the same elevation as this section, I decided to move them down a little bit so that I would get the look that I wanted here and here. And what I did was I took out a 1x4 piece that was here and put these two in here. Well, it might have taken me a shorter time to do this, but I was watching some Netflix comedy series. And it was difficult. I won't lie to you. It was very difficult to do this. I had no vision of what this was supposed to look like. The real problems fell off. This thing, the most fragile piece. If you want to build this, watch out for that. Anyway, was the torpedo launchers. Now, I needed to figure out how I could get them in a position where they weren't blocked by the underbelly. And in the last USS Voyager build, the mid-scale build, they were blocked by the underbelly. And I had to ignore that because there was nothing I could do. But now there is something I can do about that. Since the ship is taller and wider, I was able to do something about it. I was able to space this out and push this section in so that the torpedo launchers would have clear view. And they're spaced just far apart so where they're not blocked by the underbelly and they're just high enough where they're too far up. So those are the real problems with the ship. And well, what am I thinking? The torpedo launchers were some of the major problems, but the other one was mainly the deflector and the hull. Now, I wanted to do something revolutionary, something different. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to take the nacelle, forget about it. I wanted to take the pieces that you saw up here, instead of them being white, gray and dark gray, and make the secondary hull with that. Now, it was hard because to do this, I needed a certain piece that I can't get the name of, but the problem was I couldn't attach them directly because while the height of a Lego piece stacked on top of one another is slightly different from a Lego piece like this. So what I had to do was I had to space them just far enough away from, just out enough so that there wouldn't be any gaps here and the deflector dish wouldn't be constantly crushed. And I had to do this throughout the entire build except here where I figured it didn't really matter to me because I was just trying to get the ship done. I figured that I would get to this at a later time, but I never did. And another problem with Lego pieces, these Lego pieces in mind, is that they start to crack. Or if anybody's noticed that, they have a small crack down the middle, and they decay over time. And I had a big problem with that with Voyager. So what I had to do, and there's a little crack right there, I can get rid of that. What I had to do was I had to replace 2 of these on each side with gray pieces. And it looked good. But it did bring back bad memories of a Lego build that I had before. A Lego USS Voyager that I had. I was on a vacation, and this Lego build was fine at first. I dropped the sunscreen on it, and you know what happened? The entire thing started to crack up. I mean, almost the entire ship cracked up. And look at this. Out of 342 pieces, this is the only, these 2 pieces are the only parts that didn't crack. It was similar to the mid-scale USS Voyager, but it was the predecessor to that ship. That is why, when I see cracks in Lego ships, in my builds, I get worried. Very worried. I get rid of the pieces that have them. Because those pieces are old. But the entire ship cracked. The entire ship, everything. I lost almost every piece that I had on that ship. And it took me a while to build up the courage to build another USS Voyager. And even then, the cracks are very disturbing, and I notice them everywhere. Anyway, back to this ship. The problems were initially... Another problem was the torpedo launchers. They were hard to build because I did not have the pieces or the thinking power at the time to find a part to put that, or a place to put them in. So I decided that I was going to try something new. I found a part, I don't know what to call it, but I found the part I was looking for, and I stuck it close into the structure of the ship right here, so that the torpedo launchers would be where I wanted them. Now, initially I thought, oh my gosh, the torpedo launchers were kind of high up on the back of the ship. So I was like, oh man, this doesn't look good. But then I started looking at the ship from this angle. Then I realized that it doesn't matter, because this is the best that I can do. I've had to tell myself that the entire time I've been building this. This is the best I could do. And to be honest, it's working. You'll notice that in the past USS Voyager build, there were plates stacking up. Not anymore. I have triangular pieces here and at the back of the shuttle bay. What happened was that the ship broke into a million pieces, and I had to rebuild it. I couldn't find the original parts from the shuttle bay area, so I found these instead, and they worked out fine. Then I found it's a funny story because I found the original parts 20 minutes later. So I decided, you know what? This might look good. And to be honest, I think it looks good, but if you guys don't like it, you don't like it. I mean, it's a new concept, which is what I've had to do with this ship. I've had to change a lot of things. And the original design is also different. If I haven't introduced this to you before, there is a space between the forward triangular part of the warp missile pylons and the secondary hull. Now, to me, it was very noticeable, but to some people, it may not be so prevalent. But it was biting off, it was nagging at me, for a better word, nagging at me since I built this ship. I thought, no, it's okay. It's okay if I missed a design feature. It doesn't matter. It's fine. The ship looks great. And then I couldn't take it anymore. This design flaw, I just kept looking at it and looking at it. And I had the Eagle Moss model, the 10-inch Eagle Moss model. I just kept looking at it, comparing it to my ship, and then I finally relented, and I changed it. Now you notice the old pieces are right here. I used, originally these pieces were here. And an interesting story is the 1x4 that was originally here is here. Unrelated note, but still kind of funny. And I just switched them. There's a 1x6 here. I used that for another build. No, actually, I used that one by 6. Here. So it works out perfectly. Because while I did take 2 triangular pieces from another build, I used 2 that I already had. It's funny when you it's kind of funny when you do that. But I wasn't just laughing because of that. I was laughing because how long it took me to change that design feature. And now to the trivia segment of the video. Now this will be general Star Trek Voyager trivia, not to any specific. Well, it will be specific because it has to do with casting. Number 1, Captain Janeway. Not many of you know, but the original person cast for Captain Janeway was Genevieve Bujold. In the first cast list of Voyager, Genevieve Bujold was set to be Captain Janeway. And there is a link to the description comparing the two. But I have to say that looking at that video, I see that Bujold did not give a energetic performance like Mulgrew did. Because during the casting and the audition, I saw that Bujold was slow moving, or didn't act as if she was. She didn't make Captain Janeway feel like a real person. And it didn't look good to me. And I know I'm pausing a lot. I'm sorry. These videos are kind of stressful. But when I saw Mulgrew, I knew it. That was the person we wanted for Captain Janeway. And I understood why they went with her. Also, Bujold couldn't fit a weekly television show into her schedule. And another trivia fact is, originally Captain Janeway wasn't Captain Janeway, Catherine Janeway. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. And she was from Canada, not Indiana. So little trivia things, not usually anything big, but yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, one more thing. The original design for Voyager looked a lot like the Danube class runabout from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Just a little tidbit about Voyager. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I suggest you do. And I will see you on the next either Outlook and Trivia, LEGO Reviews, or episode discussion. I have been American Trekkie, signing off.